and welcome back to our channel, Buckeye Bloomstead. Today, we're excited to bring you an updated guide on dehydrating cranberries, featuring new techniques and technology, including the use of a solar sun oven. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, this video will show you the best ways to dehydrate cranberries for delicious, healthy snacks using several methods. Before we get started, if you haven't yet joined our community, we invite you to hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon. This way, you'll always be in the loop with our latest videos on food preservation, gardening, and other exciting topics. A quick tip for all the savvy shoppers out there: the holiday season, particularly around Thanksgiving and Christmas, is a prime time to find cranberries at fantastic prices. And don't worry if you stock up too much. Cranberries freeze beautifully, ensuring you can enjoy them all year round for your dehydrating projects. As we explore various dehydration methods, make sure you stick around until the end of the video. I'll be revealing a special technique for turning your dried cranberries into a versatile powder. This unique cranberry powder is perfect for storing and adding a delightful, nutritious boost to your beverages. It's an easy way to enhance your drinks and enrich your diet with the goodness of cranberries. So, stay with us to uncover this exciting culinary secret. Now, let's dive into the heart of today's content. First up, we are going to focus on the oven method for drying cranberries. Dehydrating cranberries in your oven. While cranberries are a staple during the holidays, their dried counterparts are a delightful treat throughout the year. They add a burst of flavor to salads, granola, yogurt, and baked treats. While a dehydrator is the go-to appliance for this task, your oven is an equally effective tool. Let's walk through the simple steps of preparing, drying, and conditioning your cranberries. Preparing the cranberries. To start, you'll need to blanch and optionally sweeten your cranberries. Unsweetened cranberries tend to have a tart, astringent taste, unlike the sweeter commercial varieties. Begin by soaking the fresh cranberries in boiling water for 10 minutes in a large bowl. Some people will also just place them on the stove, covering them with water, and bring them to a boil. I used to process mine that way, but over time, I found the method of just boiling the water and pouring it over the cranberries easier for me, so I don't over-process the cranberries. So, as intended, soaking them in boiling water will cause them to split or pop open. That is what we want to happen. There is a reason for this that I will discuss here in a second. Don't worry if some remain intact, you can address those later. After soaking, drain the cranberries and pat them dry with a clean towel. Next, you are going to create a simple sugar syrup using a ratio of 2 parts water to 1 part sugar. Heat mixture by placing the saucepan over medium heat. Stir the mixture gently to help the sugar dissolve into the water. Then let simmer. Once the sugar is fully dissolved and the mixture starts to boil, reduce the heat to a simmer. Now reduce the syrup by letting the syrup simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. The goal is to slightly thicken the syrup without turning it into a caramel. The syrup should be thin enough to easily coat the cranberries, but not so watery that it doesn't adhere. Once the syrup is done, allow it to cool. So, after simmering, remove the saucepan from the heat and allow the syrup to cool down to room temperature. This is important to prevent cooking the cranberries when you coat them. Coat the cranberries. Once the syrup is cool, gently mix your cranberries in the syrup to coat them evenly. Be sure the cranberries are split open, as discussed in our process on splitting the cranberries open, to allow the syrup to penetrate. After coating, let the cranberries drain to remove excess syrup, and then proceed with your chosen dehydration method. Place a cooling rack on a baking sheet, layering it with parchment paper. Arrange the blanched, syrup-coated cranberries on this setup, ensuring each berry has space around it for air to circulate. Pierce any unsplit cranberries with a paring knife before placing them on the rack. Utilize additional baking sheets as needed. Remember a few minutes ago I mentioned that it was important to ensure the cranberries pop when soaked in hot water? Here is why. The reason is quite simple but crucial. Attempting to dehydrate whole, unpopped cranberries can lead to uneven drying. This inconsistency might result in insufficient dehydration, especially in the cranberries' interiors, raising the risk of spoilage or mold formation. popped cranberries have a better chance of drying thoroughly and uniformly. Additionally, we'll cover how to confirm that all cranberries, even the popped ones, are fully dehydrated before you move them to storage. Drying process. Begin by preheating your oven to its lowest temperature, aiming for a range of 135 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. For our European viewers, that's about 54 to 65 degrees Celsius. Once preheated, place the cranberries in the oven to start the dehydration process. Expect the drying process to span roughly 8 hours and sometimes longer, even overnight. Also, it's important to ensure that you or someone else is at home throughout the entire duration of the dehydration process when using your oven for safety reasons. Please do not leave your oven unattended over this period of time. After 8 hours, you are going to then check the cranberries. They should be dry yet slightly pliable. Remember, they will not reach their final texture until cooled, much like cookies crisping after baking. You will get a false read on whether or not they are completely dehydrated if you do not allow them to cool first. So, be sure that once they appear dry, turn off the oven and let them cool for 20 to 30 minutes. Test for dryness by breaking a berry in half. It should show no moisture. If they do, place them back in the oven for a couple additional hours and then recheck them again after cooling. Conditioning the cranberries. Even perfectly dried cranberries might retain some moisture. To ensure they are well preserved, we recommend conditioning them. Don't worry, it is easy to do. You're going to place the cooled, dried cranberries in glass jars, filling them 2/3 full. Then shake the jars a few times daily for a week. This step redistributes any residual moisture. If you notice condensation, return the cranberries to the oven for additional drying. Once conditioned, store your cranberries in airtight containers away from light and heat. They are now ready to be fully enjoyed in your favorite recipes or as a snack. Moving on to the dehydrator method, let's explore how to transform fresh cranberries into delightful dehydrated treats. If you're equipped with a food dehydrator, you're all set for this simple and effective preservation technique. In these times of increasing living costs, seizing good deals is more important than ever, particularly for nutritious foods like cranberries. We discussed keeping an eye out for holiday sales, but also look for coupon opportunities that can be used on top of the end-of-season sales to get cranberries at a steal. Also, outside the festive season, buying in bulk from warehouse stores is a cost-effective strategy. Remember, any surplus cranberries can be frozen or dehydrated, minimizing waste and extending their shelf life. Before we proceed, let's briefly discuss the benefits of dried cranberries. Erie One says, dehydrated cranberries are healthy for you. While we at Buckeye Bloomstead feel they are a healthier choice to a lot of other snacks. Let me explain. Dehydrated cranberries, coated with simple sugar syrup, fall into a somewhat complex category when considering healthiness. Here are a few points to consider. Nutritional value of cranberries. Cranberries themselves are naturally high in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. They offer health benefits like improved immune function and reduced inflammation. So from that standpoint, they indeed are healthy. But you know there's always a but to these types of snacks. The added sugar. The simple sugar syrup adds sucrose, table sugar, to the cranberries. Regular consumption of added sugars can contribute to various health issues, such as weight gain, increased risk of heart disease, and higher blood sugar levels. Sugar content in comparison to commercial products. Homemade dehydrated cranberries with simple sugar might have less sugar than commercially prepared cranberries, often referred to as craisins, depending on how much syrup you use. This could make them a slightly healthier option than the store-bought dehydrated cranberries. Dietary balance. If consumed in moderation as part of a balanced diet, sweetened dehydrated cranberries can be a tasty and relatively healthy treat. They should, however, be consumed in smaller quantities, especially by individuals watching their sugar intake, such as those with diabetes. Alternatives. For a healthier option, you might consider reducing the amount of sugar in the syrup or using alternatives like apple juice concentrate or other natural sweeteners like stevia and even honey. Also, unsweetened dehydrated cranberries, though more tart, do retain the health benefits of cranberries without the added sugar. So, if you like tart, try dehydrating them without the sugar. But be warned, they will taste nothing like those you purchase at the grocery store that are coated in a type of simple sugar syrup. That is just not an option for our household. Even though we too need to watch our sugar intake, we find them too tart for our liking without the coating. So, we have to eat them in moderation. In summary, while dehydrated cranberries have nutritional benefits, coating them with a simple sugar syrup does add significant amounts of sugar, which can offset some of their health advantages. Moderation and dietary context are key. Not only are they a versatile addition to salads, cookies, and trail mixes, but cranberries are also a powerhouse of vitamins and antioxidants. Research indicates several health benefits, including prevention and treatment of urinary infections, memory improvement, alleviation of anxiety and depression symptoms, immune system boost, cholesterol reduction, body detoxification, dissolving of kidney stones. It's important to clarify that these benefits are informational and not a substitute for professional medical advice. Our goal is to highlight the multifaceted advantages of cranberries. Now, back to preparing your cranberries for dehydration. As cranberries are juicy fruits, ensure each one is split open to release moisture during dehydration. Failing to do so may leave excess moisture inside, potentially leading to spoilage. While manually slicing each berry is an option, the method we discussed earlier offers a much quicker and efficient way to prepare your cranberries. Trust me when I say slicing each and every cranberry is tedious and could result in a nasty cut or two. I speak from experience. There's an additional tip I'd like to share about preparing cranberries. For an overnight sweetening method, consider using apple juice concentrate, sugar water, or water infused with stevia. This step should follow the initial process of splitting the cranberries, either through boiling or cutting. The goal is to allow the sweetening agent to penetrate the fruit effectively. Moreover, it's beneficial to add a touch of citric acid or lemon juice to your chosen sweetening liquid. This not only enhances the flavor, but also plays a crucial role in extending the shelf life of your dehydrated cranberries, ensuring they stay delicious and fresh for longer. The citric acid or lemon juice is not required but suggested. When using a food dehydrator, it's best to adhere to the guidelines provided by the manufacturer for optimal results. Drain the cranberries in a colander and give them a quick rinse. Spread out paper towels on your countertop. Pour the cranberries onto them and then disperse evenly. Cover them with additional paper towels and gently blot to remove excess moisture. Transfer the cranberries onto the parchment-lined pans, ensuring they are in a single layer without overcrowding. The dehydration process in the oven will take about 4 to 8 hours. Every hour or so, briefly open the oven door to let steam escape, aiding in the drying process. Remember, dehydrated fruits are often chewy when warm and become firmer as they cool. Start checking your cranberries for the desired texture after 4 hours. To test, take a cranberry out of the oven, let it cool completely, and compare it to the texture of commercial dehydrated cranberries. Be vigilant not to over-dry them, as they can become excessively hard and crunchy. Once your cranberries are done dehydrating and have fully cooled, you should transfer them to a glass jar. Only fill jars halfway at this point. Thoroughly shake the jar. This will redistribute any residual moisture. Let sit for a day. If any condensation appears on the inside of the jar, it means that the cranberries are not done and will need to be further dehydrated. For a week, we will gently shake our containers each day just to check and double-check that the cranberries are fully cured. Now we will move on to dehydrating your cranberries by using a solar oven. Be sure to stay tuned until the very end of the video, regardless of your chosen dehydration method. I'll be sharing an exclusive tip on transforming dehydrated cranberries into a fine powder. This cranberry powder can be conveniently stored and then mixed into water or other beverages. It's not only a refreshing twist to your drinks, but also a great way to boost your nutrient intake. Don't miss out on this unique and healthy addition to your diet. So keep watching. Preserve your harvest economically with a solar sun oven. On this channel, we're passionate about recommending products that we've personally tried and trust. That's why we're highlighting the sun oven, a brand we not only use ourselves, but also believe in. Our endorsement comes from our genuine experience. We purchased our Sun Oven without sponsorship. We want you to know that. It's an incredibly economical solution for drying fruits, vegetables, fish, and meats. Best of all, it requires no electricity because you are harnessing the power of the sun for your preservation needs, a testament to both efficiency and sustainability. By harnessing the power of the sun with your solar sun oven to dry a variety of foods, sun drying is not only economical, but also an efficient way to preserve foods. Whether it's fruits, vegetables, fish, or meats, if it can be dried in a dehydrator or oven, it can be dried just as effectively using a solar sun oven. Explore this natural method to create your own dried produce, just like the items you find on your grocer's shelves. If you're new to the sun oven, you'll be pleased to know it's quite straightforward to operate. It works on the same principles as the greenhouse effect, which is a familiar experience if you've ever been in a car on a sunny day. Just like how a car can become pleasantly warm even on a cold day when sealed up, the sun oven uses this natural phenomenon to efficiently harness solar energy for cooking and drying. About 60% of the heating energy comes from the sun shining directly on the sun oven's glass door. The other 40% comes from the sun bouncing off the reflectors into the oven's chamber. The glass, insulation, and sealing gasket all trap the heat, making the oven super efficient. On perfect days, with totally clear skies and no haze or clouds, the oven can reach temperatures of 400 degrees. On any day where the sun casts a shadow, the sun oven stays consistently at temperatures between 300 degrees and 375 degrees if aligned every 30 minutes to the sun. Keep in mind that food cooks at a temperature of 180 degrees and above in the sun oven. If the temperature drops below 180 degrees, you're no longer cooking. But for dehydration purposes, we do not want to cook the food. We want to dehydrate it. So the temp needs to be controlled. This will preserve more of the nutritional value regardless of what it is you are dehydrating. In a sun oven, this is done by venting the sun oven. Refer to your solar dehydrator user's manual on how this is done. Dehydrating is one of the oldest and most efficient methods of preserving food, and it's a standout feature of the sun oven. I know we sound like a commercial, but that is how much we love our solar sun oven. This device is perfect for drying a variety of foods, from fruits and vegetables to making delicious jerky. Not only is dehydrating with the sun oven quick, but it's also cost-effective, making it ideal for emergency preparedness when electricity isn't an option. To us, the sun oven was a great investment. For those of you on a budget, once in a while you can come across a good sale or one in good condition someone is wanting to part with. If you are interested in purchasing a new solar oven, I will leave a link below that will take you right to where you can get one. How to dehydrate with the sun oven. First, process your cranberries as we discussed at the beginning of this video using the boiling water method. Start by placing parchment paper, cut to fit on each of the stacking racks atop one another, and set them on the oven's leveling tray. Arrange the cranberries on the parchment, leaving enough space between them for the air to circulate. Utilizing the sun oven's features for dehydration. The sun oven's glass door is designed to seal airtight, but for dehydrating, you'll need to allow humidity to escape, as we mentioned earlier. After placing the food on the racks, instead of fully locking the door, turn one latch inward and rest the glass on top of it. This creates a small gap for moisture to exit while preventing the interior from overheating, thereby creating the perfect environment for solar dehydration. This setup helps to regulate the internal temperature by releasing excess humidity. Throughout the dehydration process, it's important to periodically adjust the sun oven to follow the sun's trajectory. Aim for a drying temperature between 110 and 150 degrees Fahrenheit. If the temperature exceeds 150 degrees, briefly open the glass door for 2 to 5 minutes to cool down the oven. Then, adjust the oven's focus to prevent direct sun exposure, as overly high temperatures can inadvertently cook rather than dry your food. Most foods will dehydrate within a day of sunshine. However, juicier items like tomatoes, pears, or certain meats might need a second day. If dehydration isn't complete by the day's end, simply keep the items inside the sun oven and securely latch the glass door. This creates an airtight seal, pausing the dehydration process and keeping bugs out. Resume the drying process the next day by realigning the sun oven. They will be done when they resemble a chewy but dried state. Follow the instructions earlier in the video on how to ensure your cranberries have been dehydrated properly when storing. Okay, now as promised, you can dehydrate cranberries to be made into a cranberry powder. Note, all of the dehydrating procedures discussed in this video will also allow you to prepare the cranberries for converting the dehydrated into a powdered form simply by extending the dehydration time beyond the firm and chewy form into a hard and crunchy form. Once they are crunchy, and with the use of a coffee bean grinder or blender, blend into a fine powder consistency. Avoid running the grinder too long so as not to cause the cranberries to heat up and develop condensation. After you have completed the grinding process, allow it to cool, if warm. If any of it is sticking, your cranberries may not be completely dry. If you find this is the case, we recommend placing the powder on a cooking sheet and gently warming the powder in the oven. Do not place powder directly in the dehydrator on silicone trays. When the fan kicks on, the powder will fly and make a huge mess. Then place the cranberry powder into a blender or food processor. Pulse until the bulk has been broken up. Blend for 30-second intervals until the contents become a fine powder. Store in an airtight container that is moisture-free. And that brings us to the end of our comprehensive guide on dehydrating cranberries. Whether you choose to use a traditional oven, a food dehydrator, or embrace the natural power of a solar sun oven, the result is sure to be delightful. These methods not only preserve your cranberries, but also concentrate their flavors, making them a versatile addition to your culinary creations. Remember, dehydration is more than just a preservation technique. It's a way to enjoy your favorite fruits year-round, packed with flavor and nutrients. Don't hesitate to experiment and find the method that works best for you. Thank you for joining us on this dehydrating journey. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family.